hi. Do I say Lee or Jim? I'm actually in doubt.
Call me Lee when I'm working.
Oh, you when you're working.
Yeah.
That's how it is. Yeah. I have a greeting from you from Sarah Bled, the
Oh,
Danish crime author. She told me to say hi.
cool. Yeah, we'll say hi back to her next time you see her. Yeah.
Okay, I will. I will. So, how is it for you to, as an audience now, to watch the Jack Reacher universe unfold in this series format?
I love it because it is somewhat slightly detached from me. You know, this is my story, my book, but other people have done the work. It is their version, their opinion. And so I watch it like a viewer, and I just saw the whole of season 2. You know, they sent me the final cut, and I watched it, and then I watched it again right away, immediately, because it was that good, it was that addictive, and it's fascinating for me. This is my story, but it is their achievement, and I really admire what they've done. They've done it so well.
So, how do you weigh in on, because there's an ongoing discussion, debate among fans, you know, the discussion of Alan Ritchson versus Tom Cruise, you know? How do you weigh in on who's the most perfect Jack Reacher in your eyes?
Well, you know, the thing about Reacher is that his physicality is a big part of who he is. He depends on it. He uses it. If he walks into a room, the temperature drops just a little bit and everybody's a little scared for a moment. And so which actor does that better? Which actor has that physical presence to make that real? And I think Allan is fantastic at that. And that's how I picked him, actually, that we did screen tests. It was during the pandemic, and so we had to do screen tests by Zoom, which is not normally how you do them. But it's a perfect way of doing them, because all we were seeing is the actor on the screen, which is exactly what the viewer is going to see. And so I wanted to pay attention to the first 1 second when he steps on the screen. Is he Reacher? Does he command attention? Does he make you a little nervous? And Alan Ritchson really did that. He's huge, he's quiet, he's deadly, he's threatening, but he's also a nice man. And so he had all of those characteristics perfect. And so I was delighted. And it has to be the fastest screen test of all time. I made up my mind in 1 second.
Wow, that was fast.
Yeah.
And I'm going back in time now because I'm going back to before 1997. But what is your own bit on what is it in Jack Reacher that speaks to people so hugely that he has done? Because he's this introvert, anti-tech, drifter, not afraid of violence guy. So what is it in him that speaks to so many people, do you think?
I think all of those things, because I think all of those things are secretly a fantasy that people have. Being a drifter. I used to think it was probably a male thing, that people did not want the responsibility. They didn't want the bills and the mortgage and going to work every day. They would love to just be somewhere else tomorrow. But along the way, I learned it's equally a woman's fantasy. They don't want all that boring stuff either. They would love to be somewhere else tomorrow, just completely free. And very importantly, most people, even though I'm a cynical old man now, most people are full of goodwill, they're full of kindness, and they want to do the right thing. But in real life, they can't. You know, if you see some bad situation on the street, somebody getting bullied or something like that, you want to intervene. You want to put it right, but you don't, because maybe you're scared, maybe you're physically not capable of it, maybe you're intimidated or inhibited in some way. And so you don't do it. And so you have this buzz of frustration that you weren't able to do what you wanted to do. And so you turn to fiction, where Reacher can do it, and he will do it. And he will do it fantastically well. And the bad guy will really suffer. And people love that, because that's how life should be. Good should triumph over evil. There should be justice. And to see it happen on the screen cheers people up. It consoles them. It makes them happy.
it's the hero we need, right? Or we want. It's famous now that you have retired, and it's your brother that keeps writing the Lee Child books. Does it itch in your fingers? I mean, a little bit, just to interfere, or how do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's a good question, that one. And when you say fingers, no, my fingers don't itch because there's two halves to writing. The first half is all the fun. It is you lie on your sofa and you daydream. You just make it up. And I will always do that. I can't help myself. I've always done that. I always live in a fantasy world. But then the second half of writing is the typing and the publishing and the promoting and all of the business side of it. I don't miss that at all, and I've got no itch to go back to that part of it. But I will always be lying on my sofa dreaming up stories.
Do you tell stories? Do you suggest ideas to your brother?
We're very similar people, and we tend to come across the same things at the same time. For instance, there was stories in the press last year about all these guys in Russia, these well-dressed, middle-class businessmen who were dying in weird accidents. They were falling out of windows. They were getting hit by cars. And it was totally obvious they were being murdered by presumably the regime over there. But nobody would admit it. And so we both saw that story, and we both knew that had to be in the next book, which is called The Secret. And it's about people that are obviously being killed, but nobody can work out how or why. What is the connection? So yeah, Andrew and I have very similar personalities, and we are fascinated by the same things, and we're annoyed by the same things, and we laugh at the same things. And so it's a pretty seamless transition from that point of view.
You are kind of twins, the brothers almost, it sounds like. So here, just lastly, because time is rounding up here, how did you come to the idea of Jack Reacher? How did that character come to you in the first place?
That's a complicated question, because when you're starting out with something like that, you cannot afford to think about it too much. You can't overspecify it. You can't make a list of everything that you should do. So what I did was I just metaphorically closed my eyes and wrote and waited to see what came out. And Reacher is what came out. And that is, in retrospect, obviously, because this is the history of storytelling. Every book I've ever read, every movie I've ever seen, every person I've ever talked to, everywhere I've been, eventually produces an idea in your head. And Reacher is just a modern version of a character that has been around for a very long time, thousands of years. The idea of the mysterious stranger who will show up and set things right. That's an ancient story. You could say it even goes back to religious myths, the savior myth, or the Robin Hood story, all of those things, that character is there. So Reacher is a modern version of all of those people.
And now being hugely entertaining in the series. Thank you so much, Lee, for the interview and your time.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. Bye.
Bye.